Yes, good morning. Good morning, everybody. My name is Marco Pignataro. I'm the managing director for the Berklee Global Jazz Institute, and I'm extremely excited to welcome all of you to the 2023 Graduate Culminating Experience presentations. I would like to immediately acknowledge the presence of our amazing artist director, Danilo Perez. Please, a big clap for Danilo. And I would like to thank the graduate division, dean and staff, and specifically Jennifer Garialuzzi, Mary McClory, Sophia Innerfield, and Ruben McFarlane would really help putting together what you're going to experience today and the next week. Please, a big clap for them as well. And I'm so excited to present the very first student presenting their presentation. His name is Lucas Phillips. The name of the presentation is Lifesongs. We welcome for his panel advisor Chase Morin and committee member Milton Jones. Please, a big clap for Chase and Milton. Thank you so much for being here. Let me read a brief bio by Lucas. Lucas Phillips is an upright and electric bassist, composer, and writer from Boston. At Hamilton College, Phillips won the Nelson Clark Dale Jr. Prize for Music and graduated with honors. Along with being published by the Boston Globe, he has participated at the Pana Jazz Festival and at his poetry performed by Kurt Elling. Please welcome on stage Lucas Phillips.
All right. Let's see if this still works. Thank you, everyone. You can all hear me okay? You can all see me okay? All right, good morning. My name is Lucas Phillips, and today I'll be presenting my project Lifesongs, scoring the stories of survivors of homicide victims, a project merging journalism and original music to provide healing through storytelling. I'm going to keep my remarks brief and let these stories speak for themselves, but first I want to let you know how I came to this project. For 5 years, I worked part-time as a breaking news reporter for the Boston Globe, where I covered many stories of tragedy, including homicide and violence in the city of Boston. While I was in the newsroom one Saturday, I jumped on a breaking news story that later turned out to be the murder of one of my closest friends. With that experience, I saw both sides of the process, and I intimately felt the inadequacies of journalism to share stories of loss and address community violence and trauma. I felt that there were many important stories to be told that traditional journalism made no home for. You will hear 3 such stories today recorded during interviews I taped this spring, and have since added music and video to help share them. I'm honored to have the storytellers here today, very grateful for that. And I want to establish this room as a supportive and healing space for them and for everyone that may be touched by these stories in their own way. So I thank you for that. Now you're going to hear these 4 songs right now.
I made an office space, and then I made an art space, an interviewing space, and then a workout space. So I work out right next to him. I do my schoolwork. I'll talk to him, hey, what you doing? Like, I watched the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the other day. We both love that cartoon. So I was like, oh, I'm about to watch this movie. I put my feet up on the desk. Like, oh shoot, you want a chair? I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm sorry. If you want, just let me know. Knock something over, and I'll go grab a chair and put it down. I'll put it next to me, like, and we just hang out. Christmas, I decorated and I made spaghetti dinner and I put 2 plates. I made a plate for him, put it in front of a chair, so there was a whole spaghetti dinner there. I made some hot chocolate, made hot chocolate for me, made a cup for him, and I put it on the table. And yeah, I ate mine, and his is still there. I think I stole a meatball. I was like, this is so good. I mean, I'm gonna have one of your meatballs. I hope that's okay. But that's usually what you do if somebody's like, oh, can I have a piece of that? Or can I, have a bite? And, so it's just kind of like natural. Like, it's still, he's here. Everybody said that people are in the spirit, right? So we're supposed to still be celebrating our life, right? And talking to them. Why are we popping popcorn and watching movies? Why aren't we baking cookies and putting a plate and some milk on the other side of the table for them to enjoy? Yeah, they're not gonna eat it, but they might be eating it and taking little bits and pieces, but we just can't see it. But I'm not trying to look at every detail and put a line. Let me see if he did take a sip. Like, no, we're just not doing that. I just think it's about inviting them into space and bonding with them in spirit. And I think that's been really helping me to like be more okay.
I dreamt about him last night. It's kind of a crazy story, a little bit. I'll give you bits and pieces. It's really a crazy dream, and I don't know what this dream means or why this dream came. The dream. So it's like crocodiles in the house. There's in the house. So my mom's room had 2 doors. So I looked out the door, and there was crocodiles, 4 of them, like going through the house. So I open one door, I look, I see Pee-wee down the hall. One of the crocodiles got Pee-wee, so I run to the other door, I open the door, snatch Pee-wee in. He comes in, but he has it's like it was clear as yesterday. He had like holes. It just got him on his shoulder. So now I'm wrapping his shoulder. I see him in the middle of my mom's bed. Somehow one came in and ended up out, so now I close the door. I hop out the window. So Pee-wee, he had the punctures, so then I sit him on the neighbor's house. He didn't want to sit on the stairs. I was like, sit on the stairs, don't move from right here. When I hop out the window, there was some people outside. I was like, you got a gun? So then one person had a gun, but it was a little weak gun. I seen some other friends, but I can't remember who they were. I was like, you got your gun on you? He was like, yeah. And he had a big gun. He had like a big 9. So I was like, there's 4 crocodiles in the house. When I said it to the group boys, one just dashed. I was like, go climb through my mom's window, and you can see him from right there. So as I tell him that, in my dream, he's like going up the little lawn thing we have right there on the side of the house. Like, this is my house. It's like clear as day. The house I lived in when I was little. Then there was like 2 police officers, but it was like an undercover police officer, and it was the police commissioner. He was like, I'm gonna be solving these crimes around here or something. I was like, all right, well, you need to try to solve some crimes or something. So then, right as he was saying that, the gunshots, pow, pow, pow. The guy, whoever the other guy was, shooting the crocodiles in my house. All 4 of them, it was 4. So he went and shot the crocodiles. So now he's coming out, and I run up towards him. And now we're running. We cutting over the fence, and it was like a donut bag or something on the floor. He puts the gun in the donut bag, puts it in the wall, and then I wake up. I don't know what that dream meant. That was the end of the dream. That's a weird dream, right? What do you think that kind of meant? And Pee Wee was definitely in my dream, but it was a younger Pee Wee. Yeah, it definitely was a younger Pee Wee, but that wound was really bad on his shoulder. It felt real. The dream felt real, really.
I've done a lot of grieving myself in my own way, but we don't do a lot of talk. So I don't know your feelings. You never relate to me and your feelings, and we live in the same house. You know, we raised the same kids. You helped me raise my kids. Yeah. I helped you raise yours. Yeah. And when he passed, you know, we dealt with it in the same house, but I don't know your pain. I don't even know if you know my pain.
I just think that I could call him Randy, or just like, you know, my baby, you know. It is definitely, it wasn't like drift by, it was emotional and it sunk in. That this thing happened. But, and I don't want to cut the conversation off, but you could say, like, this stuff that happened and stuff that, and most I think of is grieving. How are people going to keep grieving? You know, or grieving before, is it riding on a bus, going to a car, and look somebody you know who had passed away, and they can see their pain and hurt driving by, you know, in a window, or just, you know, something that maybe never been conversations, but this would happen, you know. And that's even stuff like going through Boston and seeing 1,000 people, and like you said, there might have been 1,000 who just died. Cause I remember, and it's probably, you probably wouldn't believe this, right? But I know, and I don't want to say that I personally been to over 500 funerals. That doesn't sound right, right? 500 funerals. It was just one of the things that happened.
But the feelings, I think, the feelings of it, everything is just like, we got to the point maybe where we just put it somewhere to deal with it. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's why when we be watching the movies and you be crying all the time, every show we watch you cry. Yeah. And I said you dealing with every emotion in your body. You don't cry, but I guarantee you touching every emotion in your body that needs to come out. Cause it could be any story watching. Here we go. Tears. I said get it out, baby. Tears. I have never seen him cry, right? But we be watching shows, he be crying. And it just like has me going. I be like, you're crying. He cries all the time. He cries. I'm telling
Maybe that's my morning.
Transformation, reclamation, remembrance, honor, indignation, confusion, and peace, perseverance, courage and pain, rage, despair, these things we share. Hopelessness, I'm
So forgive me for being a little emotional up here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the composition process behind this, but first, I really just want to give another round of applause for the storytellers that are here with us today. Alexis Smith, Brent Stevenson, Nellie McCrae. I'm so grateful for all of you sharing your stories. Let me talk a little bit about the process of creating these. So each of these stories asked me to imagine new sounds and ways to approach composition or to best share these stories. I'm going to talk very briefly about some of the approaches I used to write this music. One is new approaches to tetrachords. So I was inspired by Danilo's teachings about tetrachords and the ability of these cells to shape our perception of light and dark. So I explored using these chords to articulate subtle changes in tone in Alexis's speaking voice on I Made a Space. First, I listened for the rhythmic meter implied by her voice, which to me sounded like 7/4. I transcribed the pitches in her voice, then changed tetrachords based on new pitch material. Listening to the story for the shifts in tone and color signaled to me whether to brighten or darken using the new notes. This all sounds very academic, but I really wanted to have the music be infused with her spirit at every point. And so I wanted it to reflect her in every moment. And so that's the way that I went about it. So first you see here, Alexis, I don't know if you noticed, but you use a lot of E's and F's. You're like back and forth between those two notes. So you can see it's pointed out right there, where underneath it where it says work. So you see the F and the E, right? And then I fill out the rest of the chord. Now what happens is a little bit later, she starts laughing. And so to me, it like lightens, it brightens. So then I use this theory then where you see now that last measure on the page, that B natural, that's that brightening. It just goes up by half step. We feel that lightening effect. So another time when that happens, there's already a light moment, and then it gets even kind of exciting. So instead of going into what, typically if you wrote this is in the key of F. So typically you would be adding flats there. But in this moment, it's a moment of levity. So we end up using the sharps to get that brighter sound, that feeling of joy that's in her voice. And what this tetrachords allow us to do is just make these like micro adjustments that it doesn't have to be so dramatically happier or more exciting, but just these little shifts in tone like the way we speak. Another thing I used in this project is extended techniques in preparation. For we don't do a lot of talk, I turned to extended techniques and preparations on the harp to create the sonic journey of trying to find a way to communicate difficult emotions. Wooden dowels are actually stuck between the low strings, resulting in those complex sounds you heard at the beginning when plucked or struck with a mallet. And that represents the difficulty of finding the right words or parsing complex feelings deep down. Over the course of the piece, and techniques such as using wire brushes on strings, the harpist slowly finds the traditional sounds we associate with harp. And that kind of serves as a bridge between the bass and sax. And as the harp regains its voice, the tonal relationship between the bass and sax is clarified, and you finally hear that the instruments kind of connect harmonically and come together. One thing I was trying to explore with this project is collective storytelling. For these things we share, I experimented with a new way of writing lyrics by sort of crowdsourcing words with emotional resonance for survivors. After compiling a list of about 30 of these words while walking on a peace walk, which brings together a huge community of survivors and supporters, I started organically to order them, and speaking these words sequentially put a melody in my ear, which is what you heard. Working in this way got me to pair words that normally would never go together, like confusion and peace. And setting this piece in 12/8 is also a way for me to speak to community and collective. And finally, there are other ways in which speech inspired the musical choices I made. So the feeling of constant motion in Nellie's account of her dream suggested tap dance to me. And soft shoes are so evocative of many different sounds that it allowed me to create a sonic version of what we usually experience visually in dreams, where an object or person can be multiple things at the same time. I also noticed that Nellie included a lot of very specific numbers in her dream, in particular the 4 crocodiles. One crocodile always seems to be sneaking away from the others. For instance, one gets in the room and there are only 3 gunshots that she articulates. So the main motive in the strings is 3 notes with a sneaky 4th note at the bottom. It is being performed by string trio, but it sounds like it may be coming from a quartet. So you can see that little motive there. The 3 notes on top, and then the bass comes in down bottom. So that's the 4-note motif. And I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much.
The presentation is now question from the panelists, and I would like to start with your advisor, Chase Morin. Hold on, there's...
Wow, Lucas, congratulations. I've seen this this project evolve and be on a journey from the beginning of the year, and it's just, you know, to see where it is now and the emotional resonance has and the respect that you have for everyone. I'm so appreciative to everyone here and all of you here to kind of join in sharing these stories and to talk about these things, and like you said, to give a new format to sharing very difficult, real experiences in such a beautiful way. I'm very moved and honored to have been able to be with you on this journey this semester. So thank you so much. I think you have such a really unique, special voice and message to share with all of this, and I really have never seen anything like it in terms of both the content, the kind of thing you've created with people together, this community. It's very special, and I guess I would ask, I know you've talked about it a little bit with me personally, but about sort of your future plans and where you can imagine seeing this developing in the future.
Thanks for that question and all those kind remarks. I've really appreciated your help throughout this process. Like Chase knows, actually, I told him about this project even before I was a student at the Institute. So he's been on this journey for the length of it. This is a project that will absolutely continue. I want to keep trying to tell these stories because, like I said, there's so many stories that we need to share, and I'm planning to just keep working on that, keep doing interviews, keep creating music, and ultimately I would love to do a big performance somewhere. I keep floating the Strand Theater because I think somebody's gonna give me the keys, but something like that because I really want to get people together to be able to see their friends and family and their neighbors and see their stories treated in the special way that they should be, and that we can all kind of get together and heal as a community.
Thank you.
Your committee member is Milton Jones, and your maestro.
Right. Hello, everyone. Lucas, listen, bro. Powerful. I, like you, am struggling to keep it together right now. This. Love the title, love Lifesongs. One of the things that I, that's not me, is it? One of the things that I often say, to folks in passing, in conversation, is, and Lawrence probably heard this a million times, it's all in a song. When you came along, it was like, what? Are you kidding? Right? And then when you told me the title, I'm like, Lifesongs? Come on. It's all in the song. It doesn't matter what the issue. It could have easily been songs of trauma, the drama of songs. You know, it could have been any one of those, and it could have been any any form of life whatsoever, because it is clearly all in a song. And so when we think of joy, I'm going to try to cut this. I can get long-winded. When we think of joy, it's in a song. When we think of trauma, when we think of power, grace, violence, even when we think of these things, it's all can be captured in a song, and you've done that magnificently, really. I am obviously so moved, and I had a loss, and I think of that, and I get into that within myself, and this speaks to those issues. This speaks really profoundly to what we all go through and deal with. So it's wow. I didn't see this coming. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it does. That's what it does. And so exactly what you were saying as you were going through this, I was thinking as well that this has to be performed in a larger scale. It has to be. Other survivors need to be able to tell their stories. Other survivors need to be able to see this production. This is huge. Strand Theater is much too small for this. We need to have a large venue and to be able to do this. And I'm grateful to have met you, to be a part. Really, thanks, Lawrence. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. John. Thank you. Lucas, I have two questions. First of all, congratulations. This is truly moving, incredibly powerful project. And I remember when at the beginning of the semester you came to speak to me about this idea, and I was worried, because Chase used the word respect, which I think it really captured to me the way you dealt with this really real life story. And so the worry I had is like the level of responsibility you took upon yourself to telling the story. So there's two things I want to ask you about, and it's about the storytelling. First of all, as a composer, as a musician, and as a human being, how you dealt with this responsibility? Like how difficult was this? And that's a very personal question. The second, when you presented this in class a couple of weeks ago, you still did not have the full presentation, you had the movie. And I think the movie looks incredible. And so I would like to have a little bit more background on how you added this part and how this became part of your story.
Thank you for those questions, Marco. So first, I guess, I hate to talk about myself in this process at all, but I will say, yeah, it's a difficult project to work on, right? Like, you see me up here. If I feel like, some people say, well, how are you taking care of yourself? How are you preventing yourself from getting emotional? Well, for me, that's not the right paradigm. If you want to prevent yourself from getting emotional, you're not doing the right kind of work. So for me, I just embraced it, I just got in there with it, I can tell you that I was just, for instance, I was in a practice room at Berklee listening to Alexis's words on loop and playing some grooves to it, trying to figure out where her rhythm was at, and just crying to myself because I was really touched by what she said, So I just embraced the extent to which it was emotional and the extent to which it related to my own experiences, of course, too, because I relate to some of this testimony as well. So I just embraced that fact, I let the emotions roll over me and I let myself be overwhelmed sometimes. But that was part of the process, and that was part of being in there with the stories, not treating them like on the surface, but really being inside of those worlds. you know. I will say, what was the second question?
The video.
Oh, the video, you know, this was something that I actually kind of imagined from the beginning because, you know, like part of the design of this project is to celebrate the people that are sharing their stories. You know, I think it would still be powerful without the video, but I really want to capture like how special this is. You know, and so for me, you know, some of you might know I didn't sleep a lot this week, you know, because we were working so crazy on the videos, but I think that people shared something really special. So to me, it's my obligation to try to come up with something that's special, you know, and doing video, that doesn't seem like too much to me. It feels like that's just another way we can help capture the stories, but also celebrate the people that are telling them. So it's something that I imagined from the beginning, and it was tough to put together, but I'm glad we have it.
Yeah, congratulations for that, Lucas. Yeah. Maestro Danilo, final remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alexis, and I just want to say, Lucas, you rock. Literally, you rock. You are.
Can we clap for Alexis too?
Creator, musician, a storyteller. You brought this to life, and you made it easy to do this with you. You were very compassionate, sensitive. Your tone was the proper tone. Your approach was the right approach. And it made it easy for me to talk about my son in a way that I could laugh and be joyous versus crying the whole time. So everything you did was phenomenal. You're on your way to creating something even bigger with a lot of people that need someone to do this with you and with them. So thank you for asking me to do this with you. I really appreciate you helping me share this story about my son in such a beautiful way. Thank you.
Thank you. Grateful for you, Alexis.
You know you're my brother. You did a wonderful job. If I was to grade you, hint, hint, he'll get 1,000. I don't think that works in college, but you did a wonderful job, and you made me feel very, very comfortable. As she said, your tone, your approach, you got this. If you, just the way you are, continue the approach, and I can see it. And you know I'm going to be with you the whole way. Our contract. Don't forget. I love you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you, Nelly. Thank you.
Lucas, this is a fantastic project. Just, wow, projects over, like talking over in the kitchen, that turned into beautiful things. I really appreciate it. And I was wondering if you can talk say a little bit about remembrance. I know we were talking about in the last piece, all the words, and remembrance is one of the words that came up. How is this a reflection of a remembrance for you and, the people in which you worked with?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Lawrence, and thanks for all of your advice throughout this process. He's another person that heard about this early on when we were making coffee or something in the kitchen. I said, well, what if I did this? And he probably looked at me like a little crazy, but like, okay, yeah, see what you can do. So yeah, all of those words, actually, he knows. Remembrance was my word. Different people have shared different words. I remember Alexis's word was honor. That was in there. Because you put me on the spot, Lawrence's word was reclamation. So for me, the word was remembrance. I feel like, when I lost my friend Deanne, who was somebody I dated for many years, I felt that I was the keeper of so many memories. Like there were so many moments that only the two of us shared, and so I was the one who felt like I carried that, you know. And so for me, memory is so important for that, right? That's for me preservationary. That's for me how I connect with the spirit of people that I've lost. Is to really remember, like really deeply, not like I remember one time, you know, we went to this concert, but like remember the images and the moments and the words really deeply, you know. So for me, you know, that's remembrance is my word, because for me it's about keeping the spirit alive, you know, and creating meaning. That's the thing that we all have to do with this. How do we create meaning from loss? And you know, how do we find purpose in that? For me, I found purpose in remembering. I found purpose in preserving those memories. So that's why that word was the one I'm resonating with right now. But you know, it's like we talked about, tomorrow I might resonate with a totally different word that was on there, you know, or like it's like alphabet soup, you know. One day, you know, one might come up, another one might come up in the course of one day. I might say, oh, that's my word. 10 minutes later, it might be another word entirely. It's all mixed together, you know, like a soup, you know. And so right now that's my word, but I wanted to speak to the fact that there's so many words. There's so many parts and facets of this experience. And, you know, when we're on this journey, you know, I think it'll evolve over time, you know, and remembrance for me, just for whatever reason, that's just where I'm at on my journey, and that's the word that resonates with me right now.
Thank you for your words.
Microphone, please.
There we go.
Lucas, fantastic. Wow, this is super powerful. I want to thank all the people that were the main actor to this story that are so powerful. Thank you for providing the time and the trust from the Institute. We're very grateful that you were able to open that door. This is a very delicate door that you all open. And I am thinking of the word LCCCC, love done with care, commitment, compassion, consistency. That's what I feel. It's a collaboration. It's you brought a unique experience here into a context that we haven't experienced yet at the global yet, and that in this way, the way that you were able to use the elements and tell the stories. I'm curious. I have one question, and then I have some more remarks to tell you. Right? The question I have is, when you started this project, you went from a different perspective of a different discipline that triggered another discipline. Can you talk about that experience? How that journey went for you in terms of like creativity? Because you went from the narrative of words to music, and that's a very unique. And it took time. You took the time to let that sink in a way that you can bring something like this to the.
Yeah, I'd like to think this. Thank you for those questions, Danilo. And I'd like to think that this project was created in my commute between when I'd be at the Globe during the day, and I deal with a lot of stuff, and then I would go play gigs. And in that limbic space in between, it got me thinking, you know, when I be on the gig, how can I represent all this stuff that I've just experienced today? How can I deal with all those stories? How can I honor all those stories? You know, and then when I was at the newspaper and I'd be writing about something, and I put in a quote from somebody, my editor would say, well, that doesn't really make that much sense. We'll take that out. You know, I thought, you know, my music, it felt like I was, you know, in a way the music felt too abstract. And the journalism felt too literal. It felt too unambiguous. So for me, just going through the experience that I had, I was like, well, what if we get beyond the subjective in our music? We talk about representing ourselves all the time in music. That's not a new concept. And I can do that. I've done that. But, you know, in journalism, on the other hand, it's totally, you know, writing about yourself can be kind of weird, actually. You know, sharing other people's stories is just normally what you do. And there's topics that you deal with in journalism, every day. That if we do in music, people are like, oh, wow, that's a crazy thing to talk about. That's a deep topic. But journalists are doing it every day. So like for me, there was just this meeting and point in the middle where I say, as a musician, what if I changed my frame of mind about what needs to be represented? Does it have to be me? No, I don't think it does. I think that there are valuable stories to be shared, and so then how do I share them? So, I think this project is just kind of that meeting point, right? And I think from the side of journalism too, like how can you as a journalist like embrace stories that have emotional complexity that like kind of sound funny, you don't recognize, you don't understand right away? How can you deal with that? And I realized that music is such a perfect home for that because we can delve into so much complexity. And I think as musicians, we can tap into some of the history of the music too, about telling stories, right? Representing communities, right? Recounting histories, right? That's a tradition that goes back to West Africa. And, how do we reconnect with that? For me, part of that's about getting beyond ourselves and helping tell the stories of others and of communities. So that's sort of what germinated this concept.
So that's a new door right there. Yes, absolutely. That's something unique about Lucas that you bring into the table because there's a clear love for both of those disciplines. It comes out really strong. There is a therapy component to this also in the terms. The film scoring aspect of this is very unique too because at the beginning I was shocked to see the images of the performers in the studio. But after a while, you convinced me that was all one thing. And that's a very unique vision about making music. I think the use of space to feel, to heal, and connect is very powerful. It comes through, and that's one of the best homeworks I ever heard for the tetrachord in my life. I gotta go and study with you now. Listen, I love the orchestration of every piece, and just comments in terms of the music. I think I will go back and remix some of the material. I'm not totally 100% with the sounds of the bass and the drums. And some parts the drums could be louder. We just need a better balance. When those effects you were talking, I'm glad you talk about them, but I would like to hear them more. So I had to fight to hear some of the things. Who was the singer?
Oh, that was Nadia Washington.
Wow.
On the vocals.
Yeah, I didn't recognize Nadia, but she did such a great job. She got right into...
as I was writing that song, I heard her voice, so...
Lucas, I'm very proud of you. It's been an honor working with you since the first time you did this summit, and you put that together in terms of the poetic aspect of that night. I am really convinced now that you have found your own space to create art that is very unique, man. And I just want to congratulate you and finish you up with Toni Morrison. If there's a book that you want to read, but it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you one more time to all the storytellers here. I so appreciate you sharing.